After remembering a case in which he got a client off for murder and was accosted by the detective who investigated it, Mickey speaks to Julian, who admits he was Gloria's pimp and they had a fight the night she was killed, but maintains his innocence. He afterward hears that legal Seagull had a heart attack and visits him in the hospital, where they discuss the case and consider that the drug dealer who Gloria ratted out, Hector Moya, may have had her killed in retaliation. Investigating Moya, Mickey discovers he isn't in the state database. Returning to the office, he finds Lorna and Cisco back from their honeymoon. Unsure whether he will take the case, he is contacted by Haley, who asks him to help out her old babysitter Eddie Rojas, accused of carjacking, though he maintains he was simply mistaken for a valet. Izzy calls Lorna to ask her to look at a contract for a friend of hers to choreograph a dance for a TV show, before Julian's partner David arrives and asks to get Julian out of jail as soon as possible. Cisco finds that there was a fire at Gloria's apartment the night she died. Mickey gets Eddie's charges dropped, while Lorna, after reviewing the contract, comforts Izzy over her life having stalled. Mickey, convinced by the others, hires Eddie as his new driver. Cisco informs Mickey and Lorna that Gloria was strangled, and when Mickey speaks to Julian, he admits that he grabbed Gloria by the neck during their fight. Mickey agrees to take the case. The next day, at Julian's arraignment, Mickey discovers the detective who accosted him in the prior case is the DA investigator for Julian's case, and is informed by David that Julian is in the hospital. After returning home and remembering his decision to go private, Mickey discovers his house vandalized with a snake left on his bed. Recouping in the office, Mickey tells Cisco to investigate Gloria's clients. After asking Lorna to get Moya's record and location, he stages a fight with a guilty client to get a mistrial, and runs into Andrea Freeman afterward. Picking up Seagull, he finds that the former's children want to put him into a retirement home, and is warned about the dangers of proceeding with Julian's case. After failing to get the security footage from the hotel where Gloria's last scheduled client didn't arrive, Cisco tells Mickey he cannot locate the client. At Julian's bail hearing, the prosecutor Bill Forsyth provides new evidence that Gloria's cause of death was not strangulation, but smoke inhalation from the fire, and bail is denied. David gives Mickey the contact information for the prostitute who introduced Julian to Gloria, while Lorna gets Moya's record from a former law school classmate. Izzy eventually manages to help Cisco get the footage by blackmailing a former dealer. While having dinner with Gloria's contact, Mickey is told by Lorna that Moya was given a life sentence due to being in possession of a gun in addition to cocaine, and the prostitute tells him Gloria was afraid since Menendez's case and said she couldn't call Mickey or it would all unravel. Mickey manages to have Julian moved to a safer part of jail, but tells him the trial will not happen for another 8 months, and Julian asks him to tell David not to come see him anymore. Cisco shows Izzy and Lorna that on the night she was murdered, Gloria was followed by a man wearing a hat whose face is shielded in the security footage, who drove a car whose plate number is unseen. At a restaurant, Mickey runs into Freeman again and they share a meal. 6 months later, Mickey and Freeman have a casual relationship, which they try to keep secret. Izzy persuades David to show up for a hearing to have the police interview thrown out, while Lorna takes the bar exam and is hit on by a couple of other law students, and reprimands Mickey when he calls her. Cisco is informed that a car possibly matching the one used by the men following Gloria was found. Freeman is assigned to a new high-profile case. Mickey shows that Julian was intimidated in the police interview, but the judge doesn't throw the interview out. Forsyth offers a deal, but Mickey refuses. Outside the courthouse, Mickey is served with a subpoena for a case on Moya, and finds the names of 2 others in the case: James DeMarco, a DEA agent, and Kendall Roberts. Cisco discovers that the car found is the one used by the man following Gloria, and gets the VIN, before Mickey calls him to find out about DeMarco and Roberts. On the way to meet Roberts, Mickey calls the lawyer who subpoenaed him, Sylvester Funaro Jr., and finds out Moya knew about Gloria ratting him out. Cisco reveals Gloria and Roberts were once roommates, and Roberts doesn't know anything about DeMarco, but mentions another sex worker she and Gloria worked with, Trina Rafferty. Mickey offers to represent her for the subpoena. Freeman, informed by Mickey about the judge in a domestic violence case, offers the victim to propose a deal instead of going to trial. Izzy finds that several of her clients have cancelled due to a gym offering another dance class, and Lorna, still stressed about the bar, offers to help her deal with it. Mickey asks Cisco to find out about Trina. He does, and when Mickey meets her, she tells him that DeMarco pressured Gloria to rat out Moya after planting the gun on him. She gets a call from Funaro Sr. in prison for tax evasion, who threatens Mickey when he answers it. After leaving Trina's apartment, Cisco realizes Funaro Sr. knew Mickey was with Trina when he called, meaning he is being tracked. Mickey leaves to meet Freeman. Lorna at the office checks the VIN from the car and realizes who the man following Gloria was. Lorna reveals that the man following Gloria was Neil Bishop, the DA investigator in Julian's case. Cisco is still unsure of how Mickey was followed, while Mickey is now unsure who killed Gloria. He asks Lorna to suppress Robert's subpoena and Cisco to find a connection between Bishop and Moya, while he figures out how Bishop was assigned to Gloria's case. A flashback shows how Mickey met Gloria during Menendez's case and helped her get off drugs. Lorna finds the gym is in violation of a non-compete agreement with Izzy, but it turns out the owners are not part of this agreement. Mickey meets Freeman, who tells him Maggie knows about their relationship and that it's possible for any investigator to get themselves assigned to any case. As Mickey leaves, he is accosted by Bishop and implies he knows about him following Gloria. Freeman approves a furlough for the perpetrator of the domestic violence case to attend a funeral, and her boss seemingly suspects her relationship with Mickey, though also claims he is considering promoting her. Cisco finds out that Bishop would have come into contact with the cartel during a war 10 years prior, while Mickey continues to remember Gloria. Afterward, he meets Siegel, who helps him realize the 6-month gap between Moya's case beginning and him being subpoenaed doesn't make sense, and tells him to stop blaming himself for Gloria's death. Reinvestigating, Mickey finds Robert's subpoena is a fake and realizes that he wasn't the first one they subpoenaed. Gloria was, which causes them to realize Moya didn't have Gloria killed, as he needed her testimony to overturn his conviction, and they suspect Bishop or DeMarco killed Gloria to prevent her from testifying. Izzy's friend offers her to sublease her studio for the show she is choreographing. Freeman is told that the victim in her domestic violence case was killed, her abuser being the killer. Driving to confront Funaro Jr., Mickey remembers the day Gloria disappeared and he confronts the lawyer about the fake subpoena, blaming him for Gloria's death. After Mickey intimidates him to work together, Funaro Jr. admits his father has a cell phone he uses to call out in the middle of the night and agrees to tell him to allow Mickey to visit him and Moya. Returning to his car, Mickey is confronted by DeMarco. DeMarco attempts to intimidate Mickey into leaving the case, but Mickey refuses. At the office, Mickey tells the others he plans on taking Moya's case and believes DeMarco killed Gloria to prevent her from testifying about the gun being planted. He asks them to find a connection between Bishop and DeMarco, and Cisco mentions the cases with the cartel that the DEA may have been involved with. He asks Cisco to go to Las Vegas to investigate the man who supposedly sold the gun to Moya. While investigating Bishop, Lorna finds a report of the victim in Freeman's case being murdered and convinces a reluctant Mickey to show sympathy to her. Meanwhile, Freeman speaks to the father of the victim in her case and becomes more troubled. In Las Vegas, Cisco is stonewalled by the dealer who supposedly sold Moya the gun, but gets information when he interrogates the man's wife. Mickey and Freeman spend the night together and become closer after she admits that she blames herself for not telling her victim that the killer was out on bail. Finding that Izzy has thrown herself into the work, Lorna reassures her over the way her life has gone. Cisco informs Mickey that the dealer and his wife were blackmailed by DeMarco into testifying about the gun. Visiting the prison Moya is incarcerated at, Mickey speaks to Funaro Sr., who tells him about Moya's relative innocence and how they found Gloria. When Mickey accuses Funaro Sr. of getting Gloria killed, the prisoner ends the interview and has him sent to see Moya, who he makes a deal with to help him get out of prison. After struggling in another case, Freeman leaves town, leaving a message for Mickey. Reviewing files, Lorna and Izzy discover a case where Bishop and DeMarco crossed paths, and Lorna informs Mickey. Leaving the prison, Mickey and Eddie are run off the road by a truck and crash. Mickey manages to get out of the car and sees Eddie dead inside. After Eddie's funeral, Haley blames Mickey for his death and rejects her father. After telling his team he will fix it, he meets Freeman, who claims to understand what he's feeling and commits to their relationship. The next day, he finds Moya has sent him a bulletproof car and security guards to protect him. Freeman admits to her boss that she failed to inform the victim of the domestic violence case about her abuser's release, and he agrees to keep silent about it. 2 months later, the trial begins, and Forsyth presents his witnesses, including a prostitute who used to work with Julian and claims he attacked him over a late payment. Mickey casts doubt on his testimony and proves that there was a way for someone to enter the building without being seen by security cameras. Lorna stresses over receiving the results of her bar exam. Mickey goes to an overlook to watch Haley horseback riding, where he meets Maggie, who approves of his relationship with Freeman and tells him to give Haley time, which Izzy backs up. Lorna receives her bar exam results and checks them at the office in front of everyone, announcing that she has become a lawyer. She asks Mickey to hire her and gives him an amended witness list, including the name Peter Sturgis, a man whose house Izzy and Cisco used to set a trap for Bishop and DeMarco. Freeman prosecutes the murderer of the domestic abuse victim. After Mickey presents the amended witness list to the court, he is accosted by Bishop, who is also on the list. Mickey gives his opening statement, revealing his belief in the conspiracy, and persuades Julian to go with it, while Lorna persuades David. The team celebrates Lorna becoming a lawyer, where Mickey gives her a job. Returning home, Mickey is stopped by DHS agents who arrest his security guard for deportation. Mickey realizes DeMarco is behind it and becomes more determined to bring him down. The next day, on the way to court, accompanied by road saints to guard him, Mickey finds Haley has blocked him from her online accounts. Lorna calls him to tell him the trial will be an hour late, and he assigns her to her first case, which turns out to be repeat client Sam Scales, arrested for fraud, who also mentions a much larger project. Legal Seagull is kicked out of his rehab facility, and Mickey brings him to his own house. Lorna becomes stressed over the case, while Mickey discovers all but one of the elevators at the courthouse are out of service. In Julian's trial, Mickey reveals Gloria was killed shortly after she was served with a subpoena for Moya's trial, while Freeman admits to her subordinate that she failed to inform the victim in the domestic violence case about her abuser's release. Forsyth casts doubt on Mickey's case, while Lorna manages to get Scales out of jail. When Mickey puts Trina on the stand, she lies and claims not to know DeMarco, and the judge doesn't allow DeMarco to be called as a witness. Mickey and Cisco realize DeMarco got to Trina, while Scales, released on probation, mentions he will be dead if he doesn't pay back his last investor. Mickey asks Lorna to figure out how to get DeMarco as a witness. Freeman visits Mickey at home, attempting to get comfort after being taken off the domestic violence case. But Mickey is unsympathetic after she tells him she told her second chair about it, causing her to leave angry with him. Cisco and Lorna find the trap has succeeded and inform Mickey. The next day, Freeman subtly threatens her former subordinate, now handling the domestic violence case herself. At the office, Cisco shows Mickey and Seagull the video recorded at Sturgis' house of Bishop and DeMarco planting cocaine in the refrigerator. Mickey explains to Seagull that Bishop and DeMarco crossed paths on a case 10 years prior at the house across the street from Sturgis, and they used that information to trick them. Hearing this, Seagull plans to leave the country briefly, not wanting to be tangled up in a conspiracy involving law enforcement, and warns Mickey to be careful. The next day at the office, the team regroups but are still unsure of how to use the video, and Mickey asks Cisco to find and sway Trina. Lorna struggles with her new duties as a lawyer on top of managing the office, so Izzy offers to help her before getting a text from her friend. At a hearing in chambers, Lorna manages to convince the judge to order Bishop to testify, though not the others on the amended witness list. Mickey comforts Julian before the trial resumes, while Cisco discovers that Trina has gone missing, presumably due to being afraid of DeMarco. Izzy finds that her friend has suffered an injury preventing her from continuing to choreograph the show, and offers that Izzy take over the job, though Izzy seems to have second thoughts. In court, Mickey suggests that the police ignore the connection between Gloria and the DEA, and Lorna convinces the judge to allow DeMarco to testify based on this. Cisco finds Trina at Robert's house, while Lorna finds Izzy has done all the administrative work, though Izzy mentions she will not be at work tomorrow, still wondering what to do. The next day in court, Mickey introduces the video from the hotel showing Gloria was followed the night she was murdered, and makes it look like the prosecution tried to hide it, unnerving Bishop and Forsyth. Mickey meets Izzy, who tells him she is torn between working for him and continuing to dance. Mickey offers her a job as his office manager. At the office, Cisco informs Mickey that Trina will not testify until DeMarco is arrested, but admitted the DEA agent, accompanied by someone other than Bishop, pressured her to lie, and that DeMarco's subpoena was accepted by an attorney, while Lorna finds out Izzy is now the office manager. The next morning, while being transported from jail to the courthouse, Julian is stabbed by another inmate. Mickey is told about Julian's assault and heads to the hospital. Believing Julian was stabbed to end the case, he asks Lorna to prevent this and Cisco to find out who stabbed him. Lorna heads to another case and Mickey asks Izzy to meet him at the hospital. On the way, he converses with the hallucination of Gloria, who tells him to bring down DeMarco. At the hospital, Mickey meets David and tries to console him. Lorna finds Freeman has been assigned to a calendar court following her mistake, while Cisco gets the name and record of Julian's attacker. Leaving the hospital, Mickey converses with the hallucination of Eddie, who tells him to stop blaming himself for the deaths of his friends. In court, Bishop gets a text that Julian's attacker is in solitary and anonymous, before he and the lawyers are called to discuss a possible mistrial. Forsyth pushes for one, but Lorna provides arguments against one, and the judge decides to wait. At the hospital, David and Izzy are informed that Julian is still alive, and she consoles him. Cisco informs Mickey of the attacker's identity, and the latter encounters Freeman. They discuss their past mistakes before they decide to forgive themselves and end their relationship amicably. In chambers, they are informed that DeMarco has appeared to testify, and the judge is convinced to allow it without the jury. Mickey decides not to use the video to impeach him, and questions him, but he denies anything to do with Gloria or the case, though he admits to knowing Bishop. Mickey asks Izzy to call him, and she does, telling him Julian survived, before he asks her to tell him Julian is awake. She does, and Mickey uses this as an excuse to delay the ruling on a mistrial while he goes to talk to Julian. On the way to the hospital, he talks to a hallucination of his father, who tells him to do everything he can for Julian. At the hospital, David tells Mickey how he and Julian met, and Mickey asks David to trust him to finish the case. Mickey manages to get into Julian's room with a waiver to continue the case without the defendant present, and presents signed copies of this to the court. After David testifies that Julian gave consent to continue the trial in his absence, the judge allows the trial to continue. Freeman gives the records of Julian's attacker to Cisco, who notices something. Mickey discreetly shows Bishop the video of him and DeMarco and suggests he helped bring down the DEA agent, and the investigator begs Mickey not to show it. In the courtroom, Mickey calls Bishop to the stand. A flashback to 10 years before reveals how DeMarco and Bishop met. In court, Mickey calls Bishop to the stand, and he admits he took the case to monitor it because DeMarco told him to. Mickey notices DeMarco's lawyer in the courtroom and warns Cisco, who is watching DeMarco. Mickey has Bishop admit that on DeMarco's orders, he tracked down Gloria on the night she died, revealing how he did it. When he admits he followed Gloria home, the judge has him remove his gun, but he doesn't stop testifying. Bishop then reveals he texted the address to DeMarco, and while waiting for him, Julian showed up and left shortly after. Before DeMarco arrived and entered through the back door, presumably to avoid the security camera. During this, Freeman arrives to observe. Bishop denies knowing anything bad was going to happen, but admits that he asked DeMarco what he would do, and DeMarco said he just wanted to talk. On the street, DeMarco tricks Cisco and escapes. In court, Bishop admits that DeMarco bribed him with money for a divorce lawyer in exchange for not solving the case from 10 years prior, and afterwards he was under the DEA agent's thumb. He also maintains that he asked DeMarco if he killed Gloria, but didn't believe the agent when he denied it. Afterwards, Bishop pulls a second gun and commits suicide on the stand. Later, Mickey meets Freeman, who comforts him over the result of the case and reveals her boss is now DA. He encourages her to get the domestic violence case back. At the hospital, Mickey reveals to Julian and David that the charges are dismissed and they can sue the city for his injuries. Freeman convinces her boss to put her back on the domestic violence case. At the office, Izzy reveals to Lorna that Scale still owes them money, and they worry about Mickey. At home, Mickey is visited by Haley, who forgives him for Eddie's death, and urges him not to stop when he suggests it, as well as that she is considering becoming a prosecutor. 4 months later, Cisco provides evidence before a city board, including the DA, that DeMarco is in the pocket of the Juarez cartel, and Mickey demands that they pay a large settlement or he will take them to court. At the office, the team receives a picture of DeMarco's mutilated corpse, and Mickey gets a call from Moya, now out of prison, who tells him he will ensure the cartel doesn't seek revenge on him personally, before the DA calls him to offer a settlement. They celebrate, and Mickey decides to take a vacation, but will not quit law. As he leaves, he sees hallucinations of Gloria, Eddie, and his father. As he drives away, he is pulled over by a cop who arrests him after noticing blood coming from his trunk. When the officer opens the trunk, they see Sam Scales dead inside, having been shot multiple times.